Hey, what's up, Berwyn Connections? What's going on? Excuse me. Just got off of work. I made a video about the Berwyn ghosts. You know, remember that post that I forgot who posted that on the group last night, but it was like haunted houses in Berwyn, and I made this awesome post, and I made a video. It was creepy because it was raining and the setting was perfect, but the audio wasn't recording because I was hooked up to my Bluetooth in my truck. Pissed me off. Yeah, they're rebuilding 294 right now. It's pretty amazing. Here, let me just show you real quick the progress. This is supposed to be like 2 years, and they're going over. They call it the mile-long bridge. Hang on, I'm gonna show you. Check it out. It's almost. They almost got the beams in, and I heard those things are like really heavy. And let's see here. They're working on it right now, and it's just amazing how fast they're putting this up. Just amazing. Okay, enough of that. I don't know how many of you take 294, but they are making progress, and they're doing it right if you think about it. They're keeping everything open, and then once they build one portion, they're going to tear down one portion and then rebuild the other portion. So there's not really much of what you call disturbance or traffic nightmare, if you will. But anyway, okay, enough of that. So yeah, getting back to my video, I made a video. It was creepy, it was raining, perfect setting, and no audio, just it was blank. So because whatever, live and learn. I'm not that good at this video crap. Not really, but anyway. So yeah, getting back to the spooky story. There was a house on 34th Street, which I really don't want to like, give the exact location of. I think some of you know about it, but back when I was like 10 or 11 years old, we were riding bikes, me and my friends, and we were riding down 34th Street. We were going westbound towards Harlem, and we stopped because we saw this girl, like a young girl, like 6 or 7. Mind you, we were like 10. And this is the first time we've ever seen this girl. We used to know every kid in the neighborhood, and this is the first time we ever seen this girl. She was on the second floor. She was wearing like tethered clothes, like old school, like from the olden days, and something that you wouldn't see in that era that I'm talking about. And she was just staring with this blank stare, and we kind of gave her like a little bit of a wave, and she gave us like this like slow motion wave, like kind of just like it was super slow motion, but she was giving us kind of like a hand in the air, and kind of creeped us out. And so we kind of rode our bikes away, and just as fast as we could. And well, at the end of the day, when it was time to go home, I told my mom about it. It was like we just saw this like creepy looking girl at this house, and she's like, what house? Because she also knew all the kids in the neighborhood. I mean, that's just the way it was in Berwyn back in the day. And so I told her the exact house, and she's like, son, she goes, nobody has lived there for the past year and a half. That house is vacant. What are you talking about? And I thought she was pulling my leg, I mean, she used to play like mean jokes on me. Like the one time I swallowed a watermelon seed, and she told me that a watermelon was going to grow on my stomach. I mean, she was kind of mean like that, She thought she was funny, but when you're telling kids this, it's not funny to a kid. I didn't even sleep all that night after I swallowed that watermelon seed. But anyway, back to the story. So, okay, let's fast forward a little bit. We're going to fast forward a little bit, and there was one family that moved in. Families would move in and out of there. I mean, there would never be like a consistent neighbor in that house. But I never really paid much attention to it until this one particular family moved in, and in about 2 months' time, they totally left the house. They abandoned it. They left all their worldly possessions in the house. I was later told. I didn't know at the time, but everybody knew about it, that they left all the possessions, their furniture, their clothes, personal pictures, items. They just left with the clothes on their back and their car, and they took off, never to be seen again. And that was creepy. And of course I was older and I was able to understand, and all the neighbors at the time were talking about it, because word, especially in the neighborhood, gets around pretty quick even back then. So that was kind of scary. Maybe I'll show you guys the house, and you know what, maybe if the owners of the house, the current occupants, if they're still living there, maybe they can chime in and say, hey, yeah, there's some weird stuff going on around here. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? But another story, like when my childhood home, my parents still live in this house to this day, was built in 1899. So it's, very old house. And finally, when I was of age, I was able to get my own room. It was towards the back of the house. It had no windows because behind it, towards the alley, was a sun porch. So this room had no windows. And it was small. My mom used it as kind of like a walk-in closet setup, but she agreed that it was time for me to get my own room, so she let me move in there. Well, not too much longer after I moved in there, one night I was sleeping. I'll tell you, I think they call it sleep paralysis, but I don't know, man. You know what? An entity, something was holding me down where I could not move, and I couldn't even scream for help. As hard as I was trying, I couldn't even scream for help. I mean, it was just an awful experience. And as a matter of fact, after that happened, I never slept in that room again. Never, not even the next night. And then my brother seized an opportunity, says, it's my room now. Well, not too much longer after he moved into that room, he experienced the same thing. But I believe the entity, or the ghost, if you will, was a little more evil or violent towards him, because he was actually scratched. And, I don't know if it was self-inflicted. Maybe he scratched himself in his sleep, but they were pretty deep scratches. And it didn't look like what a nail would do to you, like a human fingernail. It looked like something like if somebody took almost like a razor blade. That's what it looked like. It was they were fine cuts. And he left the room. He was like, screw this, man. He never went back to that room. So my sister thought we were both crazy. She moves in. Same thing happened to her. And we were still all in the house at the time. And I remember I heard her screaming from the basement. That's how loud she was screaming. Same thing happened to her. Something was pressing down on her chest, wouldn't let her up, wouldn't let her, but it did let her scream. It wouldn't let me scream, but it let her scream, because we all heard it. So then that was it for her. She was out. She went back to her old room. And then my aunt from Texas, my dad's sister, came to visit us one time, and we were sworn never to tell her what happened to us, because she was going to sleep in that room, because all the other rooms were taken. So they were kind of going to use that as the guest room. Well, on her second night, on her visit, she experienced the same thing. Something was pressing down on her chest, and it wouldn't let her scream. My father ended up seeing her in the kitchen in a cold sweat with a blanket around her, and she wouldn't talk for about 20 minutes. And then when she finally did, she explained it, and you know what? She left, because she's really superstitious and very religious, and she left. She ended up taking the next flight back to Texas, and she's never been back since. We had to go down there to visit her. And so the thing is, it's like, so we're not talking about childhood, like hallucinations here. We're talking, this is serious. It's happened to 4 total different people. In around the same era. I mean, by the same area, I would say within the same 4 years or so, 4 to 5 years. So I mean, so now think about it this way. My mom was, after my aunt went through it, she was like, it made her a believer, because it's not just kids making up stories now. Now you're talking somebody her age that experienced what we did, and we didn't tell her. We didn't say a word. We were sworn to secrecy. So she never even moves her clothes back. That room is pretty much sits empty. It has a real dim light bulb to it because it's not in use, and it has no windows, like I said earlier. And now, being religious as my parents are, now they have a bunch of crucifixes hanging in that room. So you want to talk about spooky? It looks like something right out of a horror movie. You know, real dimly lit, bunch of crucifixes. When I mean a bunch, I mean probably 15 or more. And I mean, you know, the next time after this COVID kind of like slows down, because I don't want to contaminate my parents, they are older. Next time I go over there, I'm going to make a video of this room and show you. I'm not playing around. It's creepy looking. And that's a fact, man. But in my last like scary story is, or if you know, kind of like my encounter with the, you know, the natural phenomenon known as ghosts, is my own house, like the house that I live in now. My neighbor, she's 85 years old, and she's lived on the same block, the block that we live on, for 85 years. And she told me 5 people died in my house over the years. 5 people have passed away in that house. Now, when we first moved in, we heard like an old man scream in the basement. Well, it wasn't really a scream. He was more like it was kind of like a moan. It was like, oh, and I was like, oh, and I wasn't the only one that heard it. Everybody in the house at the time heard it. We were just moved in, and we're kind of upstairs watching a movie, and it was kind of like a loud bellow, like that. So immediately, you know, I went down there. I offered him a shot of whiskey, and we lit a candle, and I told him, look, we come with, you know, we don't mean no harm, and we gave him this like, hey, we're just here, we're visitors, we're gonna coexist, blah blah blah. Well, we haven't heard him since, but we do see shadows, especially the peripheral vision. We see those shadows from the side, and I do anyway. That's the only way I can describe it. And, so I know something's there. They don't really mess with us as far as, opening or closing or slamming doors or anything. They're not like being physical, but they are there. They are roaming. And I'm thinking it could be some of the people that passed away in the house. Hey, it's a possibility, But hey, anyway, that's my scary experiences. Again, you have to live it to feel it. But I'm kind of enjoying some of yours because it's good to know that I'm not the only one. All right. So it's kind of good. And whoever made that post, good job. I mean, what a topic. I love that. I love it. How original and how fun, really. Now that it's daytime, last night it wasn't so fun. I'm telling you, I blew it. Too bad I didn't know how to do like a voiceover to like the video, because I would just like voice over it because it was just a really creepy setting. But anyway, well, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for being a member. And hey, tell us some more stories. I'm loving them. So until then, thank you. Bye.